Ron DeSantis, why'd you have to monkey up my first YouTube video? This is 5 minutes with Frank Kutsakria giving you the 3 winners, 3 losers, and 3 candidates that got a kick in the ass from last night's Florida primary. I'll get to monkeying this up here in a minute, but because of it, my top 3 actually changed. Number 1 is progressives. They got the biggest win of the night because for the first time ever in Florida, a Democratic Socialist is going to be on the top of the ticket. And just like when you're with your kid and you got training wheels and eventually you got to take them off and watch them fall on their ass, progressives get to do that now. They'll lose in November, most likely, but at least now they'll get to actually run a candidate and see if they can actually win. The number 2 on the list would be Andrew Gillum, the actual candidate. Now, because of monkeying this up a few hours ago, he'll get instead of a 2-day bump, he'll get probably talked about until Monday. And that's good for him. He needs money. He spent the 4th most and got the most votes on the Democratic side. And he'll be now part of the news cycle. And the third third group that got the biggest boost was Democratic Senator Bill Nelson. Because even though his name wasn't on the ballot, and he is running in November, because the Democratic Socialists will be out there in force, and now this, well, thanks to Ron DeSantis, will now be even more of a base versus base election. He gets to continue to try to act like a moderate, and for his case, as more Democrats come to the polls, maybe he picks up a win where he probably would have lost to Rick Scott had it been a traditional candidate. The 3 biggest losers were, well, Gwen Graham. Gwen Graham, who didn't see a check that she couldn't cash in the last week of the election, spent 0.0 hours in South Florida when she needed it. Instead of running a campaign in South Florida, which I've been asking for months, where are TV ads in English, where are TV ads in Spanish, she let Levine and Green fight it out to the death, and somehow Andrew Gillum picked up the sword. The second biggest loser as well on the Gwen Graham role is, of course, picking nominees months and months and months in advance. Gillum versus Putnam is the 2018 version of Clinton versus Giuliani. Welcome 2008. Why did I give Giuliani $100 for that campaign? I'll never know. The third biggest loser of the night has to be spending early on TV ads. Again, Levine and Green and Graham spent $70 million before the last 2 weeks of the campaign. In total, the Democrats spent $115 million of those 5 candidates. There's a 4th one a 5th one, I don't even know who it is, who got like 4% of the vote. And your winner spent under 8. So, ground game in a mixed primary like that can kind of be a winning factor. Now, the 3 who got a kick in the ass. The top one is the Democratic Party. Now, everybody and their mother says that they had a great night. And yes, they had the most people who ever voted in a primary. Even more than 2016. But in spite of having 4 candidates from South Florida, in spite of having a Republican primary that was decided a month ago by about 20 points and everyone knew it, in spite of being a blue wave, Democrats did not vote as much as Republicans. In fact, Republicans beat Democrats by almost 110,000 votes. In a state that pretty much always votes Republican in midterms, it should be a real kick in the ass to Democrats. Publicly, they're happy, but privately, they've got to be going, we need to get more voters out there. The second person is Ron DeSantis. Dude, I know what you meant. I don't think it was racist, but let's be blunt here for a second. If you have no intention of voting for Ron DeSantis, you think the comment was racist. And if you have no intention of voting for Andrew Gillum, you think it's bullshit. But this is one of those times in which, if he just would have said, don't fuck this up, we'd be talking about, oh, he's a candidate who's off the cuff. Instead, we're going to be spending the next 4 days talking about whether he's a racist. He needs to get his shit together. He's going to have to probably change course on who he wants to pick for lieutenant governor, and he can't do it as a pandering act. If he wants to get off the front page, he's got to choose somebody tomorrow for that lieutenant governor race. He's got to clear it up pretty quick. And the person who needed the third most kick in the ass is one Miss Donna Shalala. Now, for you that don't know, Donna Shalala, the former president of the University of Miami and all-around Clinton stooge for the last 30 years, was the hand-picked scion for Ileana Ros-Lehton's district. Ileana Ros-Lehton is retiring. It's a blue wave. Trump lost the district by 16 points. There's a Democratic registration majority. These are all signs that Democrats should be, well, killing it. The problem is they've nominated a candidate who has never run for office, who was slowly running out of money, and didn't get a third of the vote. Now, she is the nominee, but she doesn't speak Spanish in a district where about 1 in 3 don't speak English at home. She needs a real kick in the ass. She needs to start spending that money on Spanish language ads. It's going to be super expensive. If not, Maria Salazar will pull off the upset, and in the most losable district for Republicans, she may actually take Ileana's seat. Well, this was slightly over 5 minutes, but this was my review. And much like the NFL, reviews take longer and longer every time. Thank you for your time. Like and subscribe. I think this is my first video. Have a good day.